Although one day I did look outside my house and there were kids creeping around behind the trees in my front yard. Well, they were working on some project for a class and it was kind of a joke thing, but it did kind of freak me out a little bit. But they were just, it was good.
They were obsessed with math. Yeah. I mean, they're honestly
Having a heat flash here.
I need everybody to focus now. All right, before I start problem 27, I'm going to do this. If you did not get these right, you need to get this figured out. Because if I grade these papers and they're not good, we'll probably have another quiz over it. We've got to know this, okay? So here we go. Midpoint. How do we find the midpoint? The answer is just going to be a point like this. How do we find it? Add the x's. So 2 plus 4 is divided by 2. Midpoint is average, guys. We just average. All right. 3 and 11. Divided by 2. 7. How many got that right?
Wait, did I get that right?
Look at all those hands. Now, how do we find the distance? This one is a big radical.
Yeah, I got that.
So I can take 4 minus 2 and square it. I subtract my x's. Then I'm going to subtract my y's. Right? Yeah. And then I'm going to do the arithmetic. So 4 minus 2, 2 squared, 4. 11 minus 3, 8 squared. So I have the square root of 68, which, by the way, breaks down
217.
into 217.
What if you just put square root of 68?
You're not going to get full credit. You'll probably miss a half a point.
How many are both points worth?
I don't know.
Okay. I was wondering.
Now, how many got that second one all the way right? You got 2 root 17. 1, 2 people. How many got root 68? Okay. Okay, so we need to know these 2 concepts. Got it, people? If you don't have them learned, you need to get them learned. Now, problem 27, last night's homework. Very important idea. A lot of what we do in math is solving equations. So we need to make sure that we are able to employ whatever technique we need to solve the equation. So here we go. Is that the right equation, 27? Now here's the deal, gang. This thing's full of fractions. I'm an ancient math teacher. I hate fractions. I don't like them. I don't want to do problems that have fractions in them. I want to get rid of the fractions. Now, sometimes I can't. There are times when I must deal with the fractions. This is not one of those times. I can get rid of these. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. How am I going to get rid of the fractions? Times it by 3. I'm going to multiply the whole shebang by 24. Now, why would I multiply everything by 24? What would be the purpose of that?
They all go into it.
Exactly. 24 is called the common denominator, right? If I want to get rid of some of the fractions, I can multiply by 8. I want to get rid of all the fractions. So I'm going to multiply by 24. Everybody with me? Okay. Now, why do I do that? Well, how many times does 8 go into 24? 3. So now, instead of having a fraction here, now I have 3t plus 15. That's all that's left. 3t, 15. Now, how many times does 2 go into 24? 12. So now I have minus 12t, are you following? Watch it now, plus 24. Everybody get why that's a plus? It's a minus 12 times a minus 2. Equal to what? 8. Doesn't that equation look better than the one I started with?
Yeah.
3t minus 12t.
Oh, -9.
Negative 9t. 15 and 24.
39.
What do I do now?
Subtract 39.
Subtract 39. My answer will be 31 over 9. Okay? All right, anybody else? That was a good one. Good way to start there. Anybody else have a question about a homework problem? Maya?
Well, kind of a general question. If it asks you what quadrant something's in, but it's on that like axis,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, what you say is, so let's say the question is, in which quadrant is that point?
Yeah.
You would answer, it is on the negative x-axis.
Number one.
What? Number one says, here's an equation. Which of these are answers to this equation? So is negative 3, negative 1/2, or 1/2? Which of those are answers to this equation?
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, how do you get rid of the squared, like the?
Well, actually, you don't need to. In a couple days, we're going to talk about how to solve quadratic equations. You already know how to do that, by the way. There's something called the quadratic formula that you're familiar with, probably somewhere back there. But we're not really supposed to solve this. We could. That would be an option. But what we really need to do is just say, is negative 3 a solution? So what I'll do is I'll just put negative 3 in for the x's and see if, when I do that, when I put in negative 3 for the x's, does it all work out to equal what it's supposed to be? Okay, so what's negative 3 squared? 9 times 2? 18. So this is 18 plus. This would be negative 15. What's 18 plus negative 15? So that one works, right? That one worked out when I checked it. And that's all they're asking you to do is plug it in. Okay, so now I'm going to try negative 1/2. Okay, so 2 times negative 1/2 squared plus 5 times negative 1/2. Does that equal 3? That's the question. All right, here we go. Fraction. Can't get rid of it. Got to keep it. What's negative 1/2 times negative 1/2?
0.25.
Was 1/4, right? Remember, kids, when you multiply fractions, it's top times top, bottom is by bottom times bottom. So it's 2 times 1/4. What's 2 times 1/4?
1/2.
2 over 1 times 1 over 4 would be 2/4, which is 1/2. So this is 1/2. All right, what's 5 times negative 1/2? 5 times negative 1/2. What is that?
2.5.
Either negative 2.5 or negative 5/2. Now, Maya, if I have a 1/2 and a negative 5/2, does that equal 3? No. So that one didn't check. I don't know. Let's try the last one. So that'll be 2 times 1/2 squared plus 5 times 1/2. Does that equal 3? That's the question. So 1/2 squared is 1/4. We just talked about that. 2 times 1/4 is 2/4 or 1/2. So that works out to be 1/2 plus 5/2. What's 1/2 and 5/2? 6/2. What's 6/2?
3.
3. So that one also is an answer to the question. Now, I did all that without a calculator. Some of you are typing it on a calculator, that's fine. If that helps you with the arithmetic. Maya?
Why is number 7 not in there?
That's a tricky one. Number 7 is a tricky one. But what happens, okay, if we just think about that for a minute, what is it, x plus 3 equals x minus 5?
Is it because you have no variable when you subtract the x?
Yeah. What this ends up, this equation is impossible. Because if you subtract x from both sides, you're left with 3 equals -5. Is that true? Does 3 equal -5? No. This is an impossible situation. If I put a 2 here, Maya, that would be linear. That's a possible situation.
So it has to have at least 1.
Yeah.
That's fun, but.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay? All right, who else has a question?
Can you do number 11?
11, solve the equation 3x equals 24.
Yeah. Just real fast.
Yeah. Anybody have an idea? Well, how do we solve this? Divide by 3. So x equals 8.
21.
21. 21 is another one that's full of fractions.
Didn't click where you did it. It was late.
If I want to get rid of the fractions in problem 21, what would I multiply by?
6. 6.
This table's awful quiet this morning. What would I multiply by if I wanted to get rid of those fractions? I'm going to multiply by 6.
Subtract. You can subtract 1/3 and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it a couple different ways because I hear some conversations there. I'm going to go ahead and multiply everything by 6 just to get rid of the fractions. So that would leave me with 3x plus 2 equal to 6.
Yeah.
So 3x equals 4 if I subtract 2 from both sides, and x equals 4/3. There's your answer. Now, somebody else, and kids, I want to remind you, the beauty of mathematics is everybody gets to do it his or her own way. Somebody else might say, I want to subtract 1/3. I don't mind the fractions, Mrs. Ford. I want to subtract 1/3. Okay, so 1/2 x equals, okay, what is 1 minus 1/3? 1 minus 1/3, what is that? 2/3. Now I'll multiply both sides by 2 to cancel that out. What's 2/3 times 2 over 1? 4/3. Same answer, different strategy.
So this is probably like a long time ago question, but you keep the bottom number the same. Like when you, like.
When you add and subtract fractions, yes, the bottom number must be the same.
That was my problem. That was a long time ago.
Yep.
Figured I'd ask right now. Figured I'd get that a little bit.
Okay. Anybody else have a question? Katie?
Number 2,
X over 2 plus 1. All right, last one. Everybody keep with me here, please. This is exactly like an earlier one I did, -1, 0, 1. I'm checking to see which of these answers work.
Which number is this?
This is number 2. So I'm going to plug them in and see what happens. Now, if I don't want to deal with the fractions, I can get rid of the fractions. How would I get rid of the fractions? If it's going to be easier for me to get rid of them, I'll just multiply, Tim,
The most common.
which would be?
12.
I could use 12. I want to point that out. We could use 12. A smaller number to use would be 6. But either one is fine. You could use 12. I'll just use 6, but 12 would work out fine too. So what do I end up with then? What's this equal?
-1.
Oh, wait. I'm not plugging in yet. I'm getting rid of the fractions. So this would equal what? 2 goes into 6. So it's 3x.
And 1. Then 2.
2x. So now I can plug in -1. So if I plug in -1, I want to know if that equals. I get -3 plus 1 equal to -2. Is that correct?
This is easy.
That one worked. Okay, good. This is my equation. All right, now I'm going to plug in 0. What's 3 times 0?
0.
So 0 plus 1 equals 0. Is that true? That one doesn't work. Now I'll put in 1. That would be 3 plus 1 equals 2. Is that true? Nope. So that one doesn't work either. So the only one that worked was -1. Those problems are just checking your answer. And
It's really hard.
speaking of checking answers, I am going to come around and check your homework right now. And while I am doing that, I want you all to do something for me. And I want you to work together with your tables. I'm coming around to check homework though now. So while I'm walking around checking your